Indeed. Yep.
So again, as I say, everything can be reverse engineered.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got to learn how to use your pen. What Jigga say on the Lupe joint? So the pen is mightier than the sword, my lord.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Here's another example. A July 1990 comic strip in Heavy Metal magazine featured a controversial wall in New York City built by Donald Trump and the populist rise to power by the future president. Is it true? Of course it was. In September 2017, there was a renewed interest in the 1990 comic strip by the artist Peter Cupper, which appears to preempt current events by featuring the construction of a large controversial wall by Donald Trump as well as a populist rise to power by the future United States president. Did the 1990 comic depict Trump coming to power and building a wall? See, man, listen, a lot of times what we think is like, what's the term that we use for this, Jew? The pre-programming term that a lot of people use. A lot of times it don't be that, y'all. A lot of times what this thing be is somebody's idea, somebody's thought, somebody's pen got used, and then it shows up in the objective world as an actual event.
Right.
Man, I done seen this happen so many times. But this is why it works. See, when you write down your goals or information, it stimulates the portion of your brain called the reticular activating system. That's the part of your brain that when it come online, it turns your brain into a magnet.
Oh, yeah.
A magnet. The planning brain comes online, called the frontal lobes, when you're writing. So they tell you that the Christ was buried in Golgotha, but when you translate Golgotha, it literally means the skull. Well, what's in your skull, people? See, I don't care what we're doing down here. Don't you ever forget this. It ain't nothing you doing down here without that 3-pound organ in your skull called your brain. Without it, you are what this world calls a vegetable or unconscious. Okay? Even what we call outer body experiences. I did a whole presentation on that 12 years ago called Programming Your Inner Space. That has to, you think because you got a projection outside of your body that your brain and your body ain't got nothing to do with it because there's a projection outside of your body. No. That's not what's happening. When electricity gets shuttered on that interior commissure up underneath that corpus callosum that's holding these two structures together, when that structure down there gets excited with electricity, that's when your outer body experience takes place. So the people who are having those experiences is having more electrical current in that portion of their brain. Now, some people may have it move in other areas that would denote other things that we would call supernatural, but it's really not. It's really what we would call your quote unquote God-given potential if you practice on how to use it. Okay? So here's more evidence, Jew. How writing down your goals will increase your personal success tenfold. It's not rocket science, people. But I always say this, Rich. This stuff be easy. It's easy, man. The question is, do you have the discipline to practice?
Right.
This stuff is easy.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got to go out here and be killing 1,000 chickens, and you ain't got to do all that. You don't have to do that. It came with the package. You are born with it, man. But are you going to do it? But another example, they tell you write things down, you are likely more to achieve them at a 42% rate versus not writing it down. Some of them have even higher rates than this. Some studies got 80%. But they tell you ain't gonna get away from this brain. It has to do with how your brain works. That's why I say shout out Jewel Pooker, man. 15, 20 years ago, I watched that sister, man. The 7 circuits of the brain blew my mind.
By the way, she will be at the conference, family.
Listen, I said, what? What? What did she say? I said, okay. That's all I need is a little spark. And I'm gonna take it wherever it gotta go, as far as I could take it, right? But it has to do with how our brains work. When we write things down, you're activating both parts of your brain, the imaginative right hemisphere and the logic-based left hemisphere. This is well known in business community among CEOs. Now listen to this, who use this technique to stay on track with their countless responsibilities. Oh, so you want to be a boss? You want to be successful? Go get you a pen and a piece of paper. Right? Now here's another nugget. Here's another nugget. And this is why you got to be careful about what you're saying and also what you're hearing. Because remember, we talking about, it says words, thoughts, computation. I repeat, words, mental faculties, thoughts, computation. So here's more on the words. The words in script you write must have heartfelt or positive language. So it's a lot of people out there want to kill the positivity community. Oh, and you know, you're trying to be over positive. And I just look at people because I know they ain't studied nothing. They ain't studied nothing. They ain't really looked into it. Let me tell you what pessimism and skepticism does to you. Pessimistic, skeptic people don't live as long as optimistic people. So that should give you enough reason to want to be optimistic. That alone, right? But let's read this, Jew. The heart's magnetic field literally responds in valence to words that have negative interpretations. So when negative language is spoken, the heart, listen to this, y'all, decelerates for longer than 5 seconds. However, when positive words are spoken, it accelerates or accelerates for 5 seconds. But listen to this, but needs reinforcement to keep going. Wow. Now watch this. Watch this. Remember the verse when it tells you to pray without ceasing?
Yeah.
They trying to give you the game. You can't stop. So I've had people do the wishing well technique. They might have used it, had great results. Checks came in the mail, raises on the job, and then they stopped using it. I said, no. You don't stop watering your garden, do you? You have to keep it going. And I'm going to tell you why. Because everything down here on this physical plane called Malkuth degenerates. That's the nature of this world. That's why scripture calls it the world of death. Because everything down here is going to succumb to Father Time. So you have to continually build up your resonance if you're going to move like an ambassador of the light versus the lower carnal courts of physical matter. Right? Unlike negative words, the deceleration lag time exceeds longer than 5 seconds. So listen to this. Your magnetism is directly affected by the language you use, hear, read, and write. Am I making this up? Nope. University of Tampere, Finland, July 2012. So that's powerful, y'all. Listen, what you're speaking, what you're listening to, what you're writing what you're hearing is impacting your personal magnetic field. So what's that verse in scripture? Whatever is lovely, whatever is nice, whatever is kind, focus on these things. They're trying to give you the game. Here's another example about writing and speaking and speech. A Princeton University study showed how when writers told stories to the listeners, listen to this, they actually influenced the listeners' brains to become in sync with theirs. The writers had the power to influence the listeners' emotions and feeling the vibe of the message intended by the writer. So this is why you need descriptive, colorful writing. This is why you need lovely adjectives when you're writing down your goals. This is why your scripts need to be profound in their delivery. Because it's going to touch how you feel. And as Neville brilliantly said, feeling is the secret. Okay? So, and I'm getting close to the end. I think I got 5 more slides, y'all. So look, here's T-Mac. I've been doing this for a minute. This is from 2020, but I just want to show y'all this. What up, Jew? I got a testimonial for you. I'm trying to buy a home. I was denied by a loan officer about a month ago. So I took it upon myself to write my own loan approval letter on October 31st. I used the logo and the name of the first guy who denied me in the letter that I wrote. Long story short, I got my loan approval letter today for $250 grand. See attached documents. Also, I opened my mail yesterday and had an unexpected check from ComEd for $151. Nothing new though. This is light work, right? So look what she see. I tell my people, man, y'all better get busy. So here go the proof. She got denied, the letter on the left, and she rewrote it. See, ain't nothing final down here, y'all. Ain't nothing final. Y'all think it's done. Well, you just gave your power away. This is the real story behind the unjust steward in scripture. When he went in there and cooked the books and rewrote how much everybody owed in the town to gain favor from the king.
Right.
See? So you get that letter in the mail, it's disappointing, huh? They denied you, huh? That ain't where it stopped. And I'm gonna tell you why you keep running into similar situations like that afterwards. Is because see, scripture tell you to never lay down or go to sleep. Right? When things are not beneficial for you, and I'm paraphrasing that verse, but it's something along those lines. See, because see, what happens is if you take that with you to sleep, in about 3 days, it starts to become a consolidated memory and tries to transfer over to long-term memory. And the moment they get over the long-term memory, you could almost forget about it because that's who you are.
Damn.
So you got to reclassify things as they come if they're not beneficial for you, and you keep it. Listen, this sounds strange, or quote unquote God is weird to people who they don't really understand these principles. But you ain't got to share this with nobody else in your personal space. They don't got to know what you're doing if you think they're gonna look at you kind of strange. But this was gonna happen. You're gonna start winning. Your life gonna start changing, and then they're gonna be looking at you like, what are you doing?
Yep.
How are you doing? Now that's up to you if you want to reveal it to them. I wouldn't. I would just keep going what I'm doing, especially if you know they kind of like, pessimistic person, then nah. But if they vibrant and they bright and you really know they genuinely want to see you do well, you can share it. See? And so I'm going to get into this computation, and then I guess maybe if Rich, you want to get into some questions or talk about the event coming up in August, that'd be great too, man. But this is the last part, the computation that they mentioned in the logos or the word, right? So I want to kind of give you parts of this computation in a way where you can kind of grasp it. So I want to give it to you in the form of a camera. I want you to think of your mind as a camera, okay? That's what I want you to do. As you start to understand how this functionality or the computation works so that you can outpicture your reality. So the camera, what's its function? Or the camera's eye. Its function is not to see, but to serve as the device to capture the idea and transfer it to the real inner part that sees. Because see, your eye, you think your eye see. No. Your eye is just capturing light. To send it back into this little box in the back of your brain to formulate a picture, right? So the light bounces off all of these objects in the space around it. That's how you get the picture, because light is bouncing off all these objects, and that refraction is now going into your eyelid. And that scattering light, now think of it this way, all that scattering light is sending imagery or light into the mind of others. So whatever your idea is that you're holding in your mind's eye, and you start to see it vividly, you know what's starting to happen? You're starting to refract that light out into your magnetic field, which ripples effect out to everybody else's magnetic field. And all of a sudden you meet this person. And all of a sudden that person sends you an email. And all of a sudden this breakthrough happens. Like, that's how it works. Why? Because that image that you're holding in your mind's eye is starting to resonate the light out to attach to whoever is in alignment that can bring you closer to the end game of your goal. Okay? So this synchronicity we've attracted to ourselves via signs, symbols, just like the camera eye transmits the signal to the dark chamber of the camera. So listen, people, what happens when you get to the dark chamber? This is the place where the light travels from the lens to go into what, Jew? Captivity. For light to be processed. This is where we can view the quantity and quality of the light captured by the lens. Very important. If the cameraman doesn't go to reflect on the light captured, his or her image will come out haphazardly. So you must do the visual work and see your light come into form. So what does this mean? In this dark chamber, this idea, this desire that you had, this idea, this picture that popped up in your mind when you had this desire or this goal, now it's being suspended somewhere. It's captured. It's being held in captivity somewhere in your mind. But now you got to do what? Now you got to keep going in there to check on that bad boy. You got to make sure you keep going there to look at it, make measurements on it, constantly make the right observations. How do I feel about it? What are the details around it? Okay. Next in this computation, camera need a tripod, don't it, Rich?
Oh, yeah.
So the tripod serves as the focusing device that holds the device steady. A constant foundation, or praying without ceasing, pops up again. It is through this follow through that the distinctness and positive results will be outpictured. You should be delighted to hold the image steady in your mind. This indicates that it is really a desire for you to have. See, if the tripod keeps the camera steady. So if whatever image in your mind is lackluster and it's you keep wavering, right? You, like scripture says, you need this is what scripture say. The double-minded man will receive nothing. I spit you out because you are lukewarm. You're neither hot nor cold. So that means what, Jew? If you can't hold that image steady, you really don't want it. It really ain't a desire. It really ain't a desire. Because if it was, you wouldn't let it go. Fellas, y'all know ain't like y'all know y'all want the woman that you got now. She was fine, wasn't she? You kept pursuing. You didn't just say, oh my God. You kept pursuing that one woman. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Because you know what? It was a real desire to be had. Huh? Right? So look. The film. Because you got to have film in the camera. The film represents the subconscious mind itself, people. This film contains potassium bromide and silver nitrate. Interesting if you know about these chemicals. They used to put this stuff in the baby's eyes when the babies first came out of the womb to make sure that their eyes and their vision was clear.